Fair use, for entertainment or informational purposes only. Respectfully and responsibly share your opinion in the comment section. Please remember the Queen respects all communities. Respectfully, it is not the intent of the Queen to offend anyone when sharing her opinions.
I was having a relationship during our marriage, and I had two children, and I didn't tell you about it. You know, it was very it's one of those things. It's interesting watching Denzel the way he handled it, and I'm like,
I wish.
I'm not saying you saying you wish.
I mean, I do. I wish that you had come to me and, told me, been honest with me, as
Yeah.
opposed to me having to try to, figure it all out.
It's Carmel and Cheddar May. We forever main it's Carmel and Cheddar May.
Okay, guys, so today we're breaking down the film adaptation of August Wilson's play Fences. This film stars Viola Davis across from Denzel Washington, who also directed it. You might remember some of the memes from a while back of Viola Davis with the snot coming out of her nose. Yes, this movie, and she nailed that part.
All right, so this film picks up in the 1950s, and Troy, who's played by Denzel Washington, is a husband and a father, but he's very bitter. You know, this guy had aspirations to become this professional baseball player that didn't pan out. He ended up becoming a sanitation worker, and he really put that bitterness and just that darkness off on his family. It's interesting because throughout this whole process, Viola Davis, who's Rose, she was really strong and really stood by his side and really propped him up and gave him the, just stood behind him like you would expect a good wife to do. And all she wanted was a fence. She just wanted a fence around her house. Instead, he goes out and he gets a woman pregnant. Not only does he get her pregnant, the lady dies while giving birth to his daughter. And Viola, being the strong woman that she is, says, you know what? I'm going to raise this daughter, but I'm done with you.
Yeah, so a lot of this film parallels the things that we've experienced within our relationship. It's a heavy film. I legit cried watching it, but I think it's something that everybody would enjoy watching. Okay, so this is where it gets heavy, right?
Yeah. How does a couple handle infidelity in marriage?
You and I relate on this topic to this film very deeply because it happened within our relationship.
Absolutely, yeah. I was having a relationship during our marriage, and yeah, I had two children.
It was before and during our marriage.
Yeah, before and during our marriage, and I had two children, and I didn't tell you about it. You know, it was very it's one of those things. It's interesting watching Denzel the way he handled it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I wish.
I'm not saying you saying you wish.
I mean, I do. I wish that you had come to me and, told me, been honest with me, as opposed to me having to try to figure it all out and just keep hurting myself with what I was finding out, as opposed to you just, in my opinion, manning up and just saying boom, I hate to tell you this, but I need to be the one to tell you. I think that I don't know. I would have respected it a lot more had it just come from your mouth, honestly, and early on.
I mean, for me, it was just like when is the right time to destroy the person you love? You know, to me, that's what that was gonna do.
But just to cut you off real quick, because everybody probably don't know this story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you and I were dating. We got married in May of 2005. Prior to getting married, I asked you, Eddie, is there anything I need to know?
Yeah.
And you told me no.
Right.
I didn't know when we got married that day, although you did, that you had a baby on the way.
Right.
Even though I asked you and you told me no. So we're married. We have this big wedding months later. And time goes on. And by December, I find out that you had a baby in November.
Because I remember that like it was yesterday. We were at the movie theater watching a movie at the City Center in White Plains, New York. I'll never forget it.
Mm-hmm.
You got a call. I saw you answer the phone and then kind of step out, and immediately I'm thinking like, what could she be talking about that made her step out the theater? So I think I stepped right out with you.
Mm-hmm.
And
that ain't how that happened.
Or whatever happened, like I remember somebody called you. Right?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're pretty close. Like, I got the call in the theater, and I answered the phone, and I look at you, and I'm like, bro, you just had a baby?
Yeah.
And you were like, what?
Yeah, like, what are you talking about?
And then you were like, can we go out here? Can we go out here? We're in the middle of the movie theater. So we go out in the hallway. It's empty. For some reason, we're in the movies, and nobody is there this night. Maybe it was a weekday or something.
And it's just crazy because, so I mean, at this point, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. I mean, I think I probably tried to I definitely probably tried to deny it, I guess, and say she was lying or she just hated me, so she was just trying to break us up type stuff or something. I was definitely in full panic mode. 'Cause
You were saying you had no idea.
Yeah, because me and Noah's mom, we had a understanding that like I would definitely be a dad to Noah, but I needed to do it in my own time. And that was definitely, looking back, it was selfish and it's crazy, but like I just kind of felt like if I was able to do this in a way that I didn't have to lose anything. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about I wanted to keep everything. I wanted my wife, I wanted my kids with you, I wanted my oldest son, I wanted, you know what I'm saying, my son with her, my daughter with her. I assumed in my mind that somehow I could make this work. I didn't know how long it would take. I didn't know how long it would take.
I'm hearing something
Yeah,
different.
I'm just telling you. I didn't know how long it would take, but in my mind, at some point, I would have a clean enough run with you where I wasn't getting in no trouble, and I would be able to then say to you, Patrice, can we talk? Can I really be honest with you? Can I tell you everything? Because I just don't want this on me no more.
So that's what you're
In
doing
my
right
mind,
now.
no, in my mind, that's what I thought was going to happen. I felt like I just needed time to be able to just, I don't know, to know that I could tell you that and you wouldn't just be like, oh, okay, peace, I'm gone. That's pretty much like.
Because that's where I was when I found out.
Of course. Well, of course you would be there. Like, that's obvious. That's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't do it, though. Like, I would kind of, like, I honestly remember a couple of times I would say little things to you like, man, Patrice, I want to tell you something. And you even told me one time, if you about to tell me that you got a kid, I'm gone. You flat out just told me that. And I'm like, man, why would you think that's what I'm about to tell you? And literally, that's what I was going to try to hint around and tell you. Like, but I just knew. So I was just like, yo, this ain't the time. To me, every time something like that happened, it kind of just pushed everything back further in my mind. Like,
from you having your Troy moment.
From me having my Troy moment. From me having my moment of truth and just being able to start the process of trying to do right by everybody. It's just crazy that it took like, when Nova and Ava died, like it was like crazy. We playing Philadelphia 76ers, and I remember I wasn't playing that game. I was just in the back getting treatment, and I got a call from Don, my boy Don, one of my great friends, and he's like, "Man, bro." First, he told me that Nova, which is Noah's mom, he said, "Man, Nova got stabbed, bro." I'm like, "What you talking about? Like, what do you mean? Like, she got stabbed?" I was like, "Yeah, bro, she got stabbed. I don't know who did it though." He didn't tell me that she had died though. So I mean, I get the call from Don. He tells me, I mean, nobody really knew everything that happened surrounding everything. Come to find out, Noah's mom died. She was shot by Frederick Goins, and Ava was killed also. And Noah survived. Noah, thank God, wasn't hurt. But he was there. He witnessed the whole thing. They said when they found him, he had like blood all over him. I mean, I don't want to get into all that, but basically, the next call I got was from his grandmother, and at the time, I'm like, look, because her thing was like, obviously she was upset about what happened, like she was distraught, and her thing was like, don't take Noah from us. Because she's like, I know you're going to, just please don't take Noah from us. And I'm like, I'm not taking Noah from you. They needed me to come release the body. They needed my permission to release Ava's body to the funeral home because I'm her dad. So you ended up coming down with me. And I remember, and this is why me and Q like so tight to this day, because like, man, Q literally, like, it was such a big, like, obviously it was all over the news. It was everywhere. I remember not having a credit card that could hold the cost of the flight, because we flew private out there, and Q paid for the flight for me. So we flew private out there. Went and identified the body. We went to the funeral home, gave them permission or whatever. And then, came the process of, like, our process was different. Like, Troy, he had the process of where, like, he literally just bought the baby right home. And, in this case, Noah was, 5 years old? 4?
3.5.
Noah was, at this point, Noah was 3 years old. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't like a newborn. This is a toddler. This is a little boy who knows his mom, who does not know me. I only saw Noah a handful of times up to that point. And I remember every time I would see him, he would cry. Like, he didn't want to come to me at all. And this is before that. Like, I would just see him. And it was just crazy because, like, I remember telling her, like I said, I remember telling Nova's mom, like, I'm not going to take him from you. And then I remember talking to the child attorney, and it's so crazy because the same attorney that was on the case, like the child support case, who was representing Noah, because they hired all these attorneys and stuff. They really try to run the bill up and all this type of stuff. It was the same attorney that was literally trying to put him in the system. She's like, the grandmother has no rights. So if you don't take Noah, he goes into the system. And I'm like, so then I had to tell his grandmother that, like, look, if like, I have to take him. It's not a case. It's not a question of, like, what do I want to happen? Like, of course I know you just suffered a loss that, I can't say that I can't imagine, because it happened to me too. But I didn't have the relationship with Ava that she had with her daughter for 20 something years she was, that was her baby. So that was, I can't imagine the unbearable just. So, we took Noah, and actually he stayed with my mom for a little bit, just because we just weren't there yet. It was too much. And it was crazy because and I know a lot happened in between that, but I just remember when I saw Viola, when I saw Rose come take the baby, I could just remember me and your conversation that we had at my mom's house one day. I think we both knew that it wasn't right. It just didn't feel right. It felt like him being over there, I don't know. It just wasn't right. It felt like he belonged with us. And you made the decision man, let's get him. Let's get him. And that was crazy for me, because I'm damn, that's crazy. I couldn't believe she did that. To me, that just literally just lifted a truck off of my chest, because I just didn't know how this was gonna go. I'm how does this go? What happens? And you pretty much just stepped in yo, we gonna get him. Let's go get him. He don't need to be over there. He need to be here. So I don't know. To me, that's the long and the short of the story. It's a lot of I know it's a lot, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I guess if you want to tell your side of it, or just from your perspective, but that's just kind of how how I recall it.
I think the way that we got through that infidelity was, and got to the point where I was yeah, I could do this, right? I remember that first night, it was no talking. I didn't want to talk to you at all, because I just was man, I've given him so many opportunities to just be honest with me, and it's all I was asking for. She only wanted that damn fence, and that fence represented so much. It represented his dedication to them, his love for them, and that's how I felt about that honesty. And I saw in the movie, in Fences, Viola, she just poured herself into her church. And we're in New York at the time, so I don't have a church base to pour myself into. I can remember, and my mom is deceased, obviously, because she's gone before I met you, but I called my aunt, my mom's sister, and I'm just sitting in the bathroom on the floor crying, what do I do? Okay, y'all, I if you don't know, I'm hell of emotional, okay? I cried at this movie, and this is real life, and maybe that's why I cried, because it's a connection, but I don't know. I turned to first my aunt, and she was you just gotta help him through this, whatever that means for y'all afterwards. He needs you. I'm sure I never told you that. So you can thank Aunt Therese, right? Mm. And then, I don't know, as the days went on, I can remember Dr. Callahan, who was the team doctor, one of the team doctors for the Knicks, calling me and telling me, I wanna help you guys. So the way that we got through that was therapy. She set us up with a set of therapists, a husband and wife team. Right. And they were a black couple. They worked out of their home, so we would go to their home and have these therapy sessions. It's crazy because as we're going through these therapy sessions, I don't agree with what they're saying. You know, I don't agree with what they're saying to
Yeah,
you.
I remember that.
I don't agree with what they're saying to me. And I just felt like their approach, in my opinion, was very I don't want to call it callous. I just feel like I'm not a therapist, right? At this time, I'm just trying to figure out my life, right? And I felt like more compassion was needed, but I think the approach that they were taking was I was so
you can't
angry.
do nothing about like certain things.
And I was so angry that I think she was just trying to meet me where I was. But I was also praying a lot, and I had a couple of friends that I was talking to a lot who, I don't know, I think ultimately my aunt's advice is what stood out to me as the advice that I should take. So I'm like, okay, well, because even when we first started going to the couples therapy, I still was like not trying to fool with you. Like, I was so disgusted in you. And I don't know, over time that just turned into, I had to look at myself and ask myself a real question, like, Patrice, what are you going to do? You know, are you going to stay or are you going to go?
Mm-hmm.
And the therapist may have even helped with this part. Like, I'm, weighing my options. Like, from the conversations we had before we even started dating, that I never wanted to just be, a baby mama or an ex-wife or even have kids with multiple men. Like, I just wanted to have my solid family. It's crazy because it was the same as what she was saying in the film. Like, she's like, I got all, I didn't want to raise my family like this. Like, I grew up like this. I grew up with.
She said, I didn't want to grow up with halves.
Yeah, I grew up with everybody
Half
had a
brother,
half something,
yeah.
half brother, half sister. Like, her dad, my dad, her mom, my mom. Like, I didn't want that for my life, and that's the same way that I felt. Like, I didn't want that for my kids. I didn't want them to have to grow up and, go visit daddy on this week and come visit mom on the next week and have these two separate families where they were, creating their own families all over again. Like, I wanted better for my kids than I felt like I had, because my parents divorced when I was young and my dad remarried and my mother, died. And so I just felt like I want to be able to provide better than that for them if I can.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the real question was, like, I'm a big girl. I can handle it. Like, what do you really want? Because I love you enough to let you go. I love you enough to not have any hard feelings. I love you enough to just say, you are my kid's father.
So can I ask you a question though?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know in that in the movie in Fences, right? Viola said, she said something about like the sins of the father, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of? Do you think that's how? Like, that's the approach you took? Like, do you think that's the feeling you felt?
I don't even think, you obviously don't remember this, but I said to you, like, when it was time, as we got through with the therapy and we were going through and figuring out if we were going to maintain this relationship or sever our ties, I was just like, if I'm gonna stay in this marriage and work through this with you, then I have to also open myself up to your son, who had nothing to do with any of this, the same way I had nothing to do with any of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like, and I said to you, like, I thought I said to you, I said to somebody, like, it's not his fault. What you did ain't his fault.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't do this. He didn't ask for any of this. This was out of his control. And what do I look like staying in this marriage and not allowing him to be a part of the only parent's life that he has left. I still was on the fence a bit about how that was going to look for me, right? Because, you know, different people have different opinions, right? And some people are saying like, well, because that was my take on it, right? That's how I saw it. Like, I can't just have this baby over here being raised by a grandma when his dad is able.
Right.
And he's got these other kids here. Like, why shouldn't he be a part of this? But I was still on the fence about what that really looked like for me, because I was still so hurt by what y'all had done to me. Is how I saw it, right? You guys both made conscious decisions, and I felt like, how am I supposed to, how do I love him? How do I give him the love that he needs when I have all of this resentment, you know, sitting in me? It was like, okay, Patrice, what you gonna do? Just like, you know, he said he wants to fix this marriage. He said, you know, he said he's sorry. He's like, you know, he's making all of these promises that in my heart I really felt like he probably ain't gonna keep these promises either. Like, he's probably still not capable of being who he's saying he's gonna be to me. But I can't punish this child for his inconsistencies, for his dad's inconsistencies. I can't watch this kid suffer when I'm the only person standing in the way of him having what he deserves, which was to be with his dad. I do think that we wouldn't have gotten through that had it not been for God, number one, and then therapy, and just having good people around us who gave us good advice.
You got to have two people that's genuinely trying to work towards something, and whether that answer was to just call it quits or that answer was to get back together, we were searching out an answer. We were trying to figure out what to do. We were trying to make the best possible decision for us and our family. We realized it was more than just me and you at play here. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if it was just me and you and we didn't have any other kids,
I'd have been out of there.
It's a totally different ball game,
right.
and it's a lot less to contemplate when you're talking about fracturing a family and breaking off a marriage.
Right. I think that when you decide to take that step with a person to loving them and, you know, growing with them and producing a family with them, you have to really, and marrying them, right? I feel like I took my vows at face value. Like, what I said was what I meant. Mm-hmm. And I tried to uphold those vows. My pastor, one of my pastors at the time was also, she buried my mother, and so she and I formed this relationship. And Pastor Brenda, I would talk to her a lot, and, you know, she'd tell me, like, you got to ask yourself, you know, did you mean what you said? You know, when you said for better or for worse, did you mean that? Because those weren't one of the vows you asked me to take out when you were standing up there. So,
because, you know, sometimes that worse is a lot worse than just an argument, you know?
Right.
It's a lot worse than just, oh, man, he lost his job, she lost her job or whatever. Sometimes that worse is really some of the worst shit that you've ever been through. And for somebody like you who was faithful throughout the whole relationship, who, you know, just really did her part, like, I mean, I'm sure that definitely, like, it makes you wonder, like, damn, is it worth it? You know, it makes you wonder, damn, is it worth it? But, you know, like I said, man, I think I got lucky because we had all of the kids. I got lucky because you decided to take your time with a decision, and, you know, you allow God to come in and let you know that it wasn't always going to be as painful, you know, as it was.
So in fences though, so the best way to get through infidelity in a relationship, if that relationship is meant to be, like I believe this one is, right?
Mm-hmm.
You first got to be on the same page. You have to want better.
Yeah, you gotta both want to. You got to be working for the same goal, I think. And if the goal is to stay together, then the actions inside the relationship should reflect that. So I would just say, try to stay away from just toxic conversations that kind of don't lead anywhere. I know a lot of it, like with me and you, it would be like, who am I to tell her she can't ask me these questions? Even though in my mind I'm knowing, like, man, this is counterproductive. Her asking me this question now after we just got over this part of this. But it's like, when somebody's hurt, man, you can't tell somebody how long they can be hurt. You just got to try to work through it. You got to realize if you're the person who did something wrong, you just got to go with it, man. You just got to keep showering her with love, showering him with love. Keep, like, building that. You got to build that trust back up. And I think if you're able to build that trust back up, you're able to stay consistent and stay, like, firm with and remembering why you even doing this, I think that you got a good chance at trying to, you know, you could work through that infidelity. Or at the same time, you also got to know if it's time to call it quits. You know, if somebody's sorry just isn't sorry. If it's not sorry, it's a difference between being sorry and being sorry you got caught, you know. And that's what I had to learn. So I just think that I think like you said, you just got to be on the same page. Got to be working toward the same goals.
And sometimes you just got to do the work on yourself, like therapy. We went to couples therapy, but we also went to separate individual therapy to just, you know, deal with whatever we had to deal with on the inside of ourselves. And
because, you know, it'd be interesting to see, like, what if Rose had a therapist?
Well, I think she did through her church. I think that's what she turned
but,
to.
you know, back then, that's not what church was doing.
Oh, that's what you're saying.
Church was really just about, was about being around people thinking the same, thinking.
No, but I think.
Keep your family together, do this, forgive, pray.
Yeah.
And I'm with all of that. But I just do also think that now we got other, like, psychiatrists are available to a lot more people of color, people in all type of financial brackets. Like, a lot of people have access to, you know, to treat their mental health, because that's very, you know, it's very important.
Yeah.
So I think if she was able to talk to someone and let her know, look, you deserve this. You are valuable. You deserve this. You don't have to do this or that. Now you can go back to your partner and say, look, this is what I need, you know, and then, you know, go from there. But it'd just be interesting to see, like, you know, that dynamic and how it would change if she had a psychiatrist. So if she had that other person.
Respectfully and responsibly share your opinion in the comment section. Please remember the Queen respects all communities.